Good morning, everybody. Orange Jay here with another War of the Visions video, and today we're going to talk about Blessed Stag King Jaden the Celebrated, aka Husbando Jaden, and his full title, which is Blessed Stag King Jaden the Celebrated, is a little bit long for me to remember. I guarantee you I will forget that a couple times during the filming of this, so I shall refer to him as Husband Jaden. He is a 100 cost ice magic damage dealing unit that uses a spear. We are getting him this Wednesday, and there's a lot of conversation about him. A lot of people, I think, are disappointed that he's not like incredibly broken OP. They're calling him like mid, saying they're going to pass on him, and whether they pass on him or not is whatever. That's totally up to you, but he is somebody who, if you're an ice player, if you're a fan of Jaden, he will do his job. This man will do a lot of damage to the enemy. He has some survivability built into his kit, and if you get and build this character, you will get a lot of run out of him, in my opinion. It's actually his weapon that I'm a little bit more disappointed in, but we'll cover that here in a minute. Anyway, let's talk about our guy. So I love the Japanese translation. Again, I will miss this someday. Celebratory Jaydons. We got celebratory Jaydons up in here. Like I said, 100 cost. Stag Lancer is his new job, with Grimoire Keeper and Cleric as his sub jobs. His TMR I really like a lot. So first of all, it's a 5 agility TMR, which means you could put 6 more on this with agility trust stones, putting it at 11. A very powerful TMR just for that. And then I like the buff. I like that it's a 2-use buff that has an AoE 60% magic steroid for your group. I think this is pretty powerful. It's not like one of the best TMRs in the game, but it is a TMR that, especially if you're a newer player or an ice player and you're looking for a magic buff or an agility TMR, it'll get the job done for you. So I do like it for that. His master ability, he's obviously got the HP and ice attack up for his group. He gets 20% more magic for himself to help him do some damage to the enemy, and he gets 10 spirit pin, again all focused on doing damage. If you get to his dream ability, this is where you'll see him pick up 15 AoE resist. I think as a modern damage dealing unit in a game like War of the Visions, you're going to need some AoE resistance. Like, you just do. It doesn't matter if you're running along with a tank, because there's units out there like this version of Jaden that just do such large AoE bits of damage. If you don't have this walking into a fight that you can stack some with vision cards and buffs, I just think you'd be in a bad place. So he does get it right there. He catches some accuracy and an upgrade to his skill, Shield Blessing. We will get to that in a moment. Now, his support abilities. Actually, he kind of has so many good ones here. You're going to have to be picking and choosing depending on the build you're going for. You're almost always going to run Glimpse of Hero, his first one. This gives you more magic, more agility, elemental resist 10. Don't sleep on how powerful all elemental resist 10 is. Essentially cutting all damage by about 10%, and then critical evasion 20. So a very balanced support ability here. You get more damage, more speed, and more tankiness / bruiseriness in one support ability. That's OP. But then after that, things get interesting. Do you need more spirit penetration? Yeah, you probably do. So you can have 12 defense and 40 spirit pen. Do you want to upgrade 2 of your double hitting skills to have more range and gain some crit? Yeah, on a lot of maps, I think this one's going to be really interesting. And we'll look at these skills here in just a second, but just know that this upgrade gives them more range, which is very powerful for a spear using unit. Do you want more spirit and even more speed? Well, you have that option. Do you want HP and magic? Hey, sure, you might want that as well, especially maybe in like PvE scenarios. You might just want to stack as much magic on them as you can to do more damage to PvE bosses. So really, you could make use of any of these support abilities. I think you will almost always run this one, and then you'll mix, based on the map, based on what you're trying to fight, what you're building against, etc. Okay, counter moves. He does get a new counter move called Counter Attack. Well, that's a clever counter move, isn't it? Chance to counter all damage 30%. It's a piercing damage, range of 4 in a straight line. You see it does scale with magic and is piercing, so there is a little bit of a worry here that if Agrius makes her way in front of him and then he gets attacked and he's like, take this, and just stabs her right in the back, well, that might hurt her a little bit too, so do watch out for that. But a 30% proc chance isn't bad. Now, hide and resist, I do like this one as well. 30% chance to proc, drops your aggro, and gives you 40 AoE resist for a turn. That one's not terrible. And he has auto heal. Honestly, I don't think any of these are particularly OP. I think probably most people will run counterattack, and then auto heal is never terrible, but I think counterattack is probably just the one most people run. Get a little surprise damage in there from time to time. His basic attack scales 100% off of magic, as you would expect from a magic, wielding unit. And then here we go. Let's look at his new kit. So Death Gun. He immediately comes out of the gate with his cheap move being a 2-range Dispel Re-Raise. Again, if you're a modern damage dealing unit in War of the Visions, you need access to courage removal, re-raise removal, or significant other debuffs or shield knockoffs. You gotta take away some of these tools that tanks and other bruisers have to stay alive for a whole fight. Boom, right off the bat, he gets auto revive removal. Very nice. He then gets a self buff that's 40% magic for himself, debuff weakening at 50% for self, and 15 AP restore. Something that I've heard from the JP side of the game is Jaden does run into some AP issues. Yes, he is somebody who scales with magic, and but he's not a mage. Think about somebody like Medina, who gets like a huge chunk of her AP bar just to start a fight. Jaden apparently not one of those people. So having some AP restore on a buff is nice, but overall, I just don't think this buff is particularly great. I would rather him pop something like Bells right here. Just give me more AP restore as opposed to 40% more magic, unless you have him so jacked that 40% more magic is enough to like blow somebody off the map in one turn. So that's something you'll just have to kind of think about. Now, consecutive rain of magic spears. This is one of the moves that gets upgraded via the learning from Shiryu support ability. So let's look at the regular version, then let's talk about the upgrade. First of all, it's 165% modifier damage that knocks healing power down by 50 and is a nice diamond shaped AoE attack. Now, a lot of times these diamond shaped attacks are range 3, which puts the AoE just outside of where you're standing, like you could see on the screen. With the upgrade, if you run that support ability, it extends the range by 1, putting the max range of this move up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with that diamond shaped AoE. Don't sleep on how good that is. That's really powerful. It's also a 2-hit move. That's the upgrade for it. So I think this is a move you'll see him using a lot, especially again if you're running the upgrade so he can drop a huge AoE from farther away. Okay, that's pretty good. Also, range height 2. AoE height 1. So you don't have to be people on flat ground just to hit them. I do like this move. Okay, next up, Blessings of the Shield. Now, Blessing of the Shield receives an upgrade, and then it receives another upgrade if you are, okay, Blessings of the Shield's upgrade is right here. So Shield Blessing upgrade. You're getting this from his master ability too. Let's look at this thing. It reduces physical damage 10,000. This, let me just tell you, this is OP. Like, as soon as I see this, think about Halloween Lucia. Do you know one of the reasons Halloween Lucia is so dang good? Because she gives herself a physical damage shield. So when you roll into a fight, you're like, man, my King Bradley and my Oberon are about to stomp some people. And then this 70 cost Halloween Lucia unit like runs up, buffs some people, and gives herself a big shield. Jaden here can do it as well, and it's 10,000 points. He essentially has 10,000 extra HP against physical damage units. Not only that, this is a group buff that gives single target resist 25 to Jaden and his allies, 25 slash resist, and for himself, he will reduce slash resistance penetration by 30 on targets that he hits. This means he's a guy who wants to do a couple of things right here. If you're building him to like his max potential, stack some slash resist on him, use this buff to give even more slash resist to him and your group, then use his long range to knock resistance penetration off the enemy. Is that kind of a convoluted thing to pull off? Sure, there's multiple steps there, and you're relying on him doing damage to the enemy before they do damage to you, but that's not entirely impossible because he does have such good range, and in fact, his range might be so good that he only gets this one buff cast before he starts doing damage. Double-edged sword right there. If he starts doing damage after just casting this buff, he will have generated 16 AP for himself. However, he will have lost out on the opportunity to pop bells, give himself some more AP, and could in theory run out. So very, very strong buff right here. I still think you want a 2 buff turn rotation in for him. This into like a TMR that restores AP or something like that. Okay, Broken Shield. This is the second ability that is upgraded by his support ability. The range goes up again. It's 165% modifier damage that breaks magic barriers for target, and then increased chance of being targeted or the target that he hits. So interesting, he kind of like gives aggro to the enemy right here. The upgrade on this increases the range to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, a nice long range single target move, and it's a long range move that's a 2-hit multiplier. So it's kind of like a lot of missile attacks or where you get this kind of stuff. So I think this is really good. That it breaks a barrier is nice. Wouldn't have mind seeing the modifier being a little bit harder, but it will still hit hard, especially if he's popping the barrier. Then we have the magic thorn pierces through. 200% modifier, so get that large damage going on. Piercing move, and he restores a little bit of HP to himself when he crits. Overall, slightly underwhelming, but the bigger modifier there will encourage the AI to use it if they can only hit like one target, or if two targets are stacked in this kind of line next to each other. Either way, lots of AoE potential in this kit, whether they're close to him standing in a line or far away. He can drop a diamond AoE, he can dispel auto revive, he can break barriers, he can do a whole lot with his kit. Now, his new sub job, he has a TP move that has a chance of inflicting paralyze and confusion, and then he has a very large rectangle shaped AoE. So it's very possible to think you could get 3 people in this AoE. 220% modifier, so extra large modifier in damage right here. I could see this being used. However, I don't know that you'll be running Stag Lancer sub. You do have Grimoire Keeper, speaking of Halloween Lucia from earlier. This is the self buff that gives you, upon hit for self, decrease AP for the target. I like this. Like, I like knocking AP off the target. It also gives him protect. Or, I'm sorry, yes, it does also give him protect for 3 turns and defense debuff resistance. I think this is a better self buff, in my opinion, than what I theorize this being, unless you are just blowing folks off the map. If it's going to take you more than 1 hit to kill your opponents, I think you're better off having protect and AP drain than you are having from a little bit more magic. So your second hit really kills them. I don't know. That's just my thought on it. Grimoire Keeper also gives you the access to magic based moves that are not piercing, and it gives you access to a little bit of a heal right here, which I mean could be useful like a fight 2 of Guild Wars. You can knock counter off, and you get a 100% hit move in Grimoire Keeper. Yes, you do have to get close to the target to take advantage of this, but it is a 100% hit move. Otherwise, you'd be stacking accuracy, right? Unless you want that. Cleric, yeah, Cleric's a little bit troll. You do have a light or dark resist group buff you could take advantage of here, but there's like TMRs that do that same thing. I think there's other people that might be better at that job, but if you are specifically building anti-light or anti-dark, you want to give Jaden another turn of buffing, you have access to Cleric buffs right here. But again, at only a 20 TP cost, you're just not generating very much AP right there. Then his limit break. His limit break is one of those cone, like a reverse triangle shaped AoEs that knocks pierce resist down by 38% for the target, then deals large modifier 200% damage to them. So do I think Jaden here is going to be like the next King Bradley OP busted unit? No, he's definitely not. But he will pair really nicely with his like pre-wife Alaya, 2 ranged ice damage dealing units that now have different damage types, making them harder to tank. Pair them up with like a tank or another long range ice unit like Eliza, and just rain terror down from across the map. That was sort of a meta for a little while. I don't know that he brings that meta back, but wind is very powerful right now. You do see some wind flying around with Sottily and Flagbearer Glassy just recently getting their 140s. So if you're a Jaden fan, if you're an ice player and you pull this guy, you will get plenty of run out of him. But is he going to shift the meta forever? Absolutely not. Now, speaking of not shifting the meta forever, his spear, Horn of Glory. There's some interesting things about this spear, but overall, keep in mind, this is an ice element targeted piece of gear, but you already have such a good ice spear out there with, I think it's called the ice spear. It's Victoria's spear is how I think of it. Anyway, let's look at this one for now, then we'll look at Victoria's here in a second. This one does have a critical version that has balanced attack and magic, 126 attack, 136 magic. Both those numbers are low, but if you only built one of these and you built this one, okay, I could see you getting away with that. Otherwise, you could go with an assault version or a magic version. The conditional effect is wind, light, and dark resist for the ice unit wearing it. Once again, this does synergize with a specific Jaden build. Like if you go Cleric Jaden, right, and you're running light dark resist buff and you want a really easy to access light dark resist piece of gear, here's Spear. you can get that light dark resist on your weapon, allowing you to do different things with your TMR, different things with your armor, etc. Then it does have the base like pierce attack 15 that you just expect to get. Now, if we go to equipment and we look at spears real quick, let's compare this thing just kind of in theory to the Ice Lance, the go-to ice unit spear that's been in the game for a really long time. Let me go ahead and translate this page to English. Again, the translator, there's some things I will miss about the JP site, and like the translations, the translator just not working is not one of them. Anyway, the thing with this Ice Lance that makes it not necessarily the best for Jaden, although it will require some testing, is there's no good magic version of this. Note that none of these stats are big on magic. However, there is like a critical version with a +6 that gives you 19 crit. Okay, it's this 30 ice attack and the 10 accuracy. Like, if you're building, I don't know, I'll be very curious to see, and maybe I'll get lucky and I'll pull Jaden pretty easily. I'm not going all in for him, but I will do some pulls. Maybe this 30 ice attack makes up for the lack of magic that you're getting on the spear. That's how it works. Like, people might think that's crazy, but remember Terra? And like when Terra first came out, people were like building her sword and all that. And then you figured out pretty quick, the Flame Tongue, the fire sword, actually outperforms a lot of other magic swords on Terra. I wonder if the Ice Lance will be a similar story for Jaden. So you do have a spear to farm for him. And if you're a brand new player, you haven't had access to farm some spears yet, hey, you got one this week, and there's a shop attached to it, so you'll want to farm all of that. So there you go, guys. That's kind of the preview of what's coming this week with Jaden. Let me know if you're going to pull for him in the comment section. I'll be pulling on my main account for him a little bit. Again, going to hope for some nice banners. We did get the boosted drop rate, but I'm still hopeful that that boosted drop rate, one, applies across the board to his banners. Like, I don't want the paid banners. First of all, I want some really good paid banners. That'd be nice. I want the special Visior packs back. That would be nice. And I would like that 0.8 drop percent to apply to all of his banners, not just the main one. So we'll see. We'll see on Wednesday when we get to know all of that info. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.